This is a middleweight title fight, well, lineal middleweight championship. You obviously have the record. You have the record, 20 defenses. What does it take to be a great middleweight champion? And, what does it take for one of these guys to go on and become a great fighter like yourself?
Well, first of all, hi, Tom. First of all, I can talk about, I'm kind of loud anyway. First of all, not only the middleweight division, from my perspective, to be a great fighter, you have to do great things, obviously, and you also, damn sure can't fight like that. First, ready? Sorry. But first, to be a great fighter, whether you're in one weight or another, to me, a great fighter has to not only accomplish great things, but also has to take on all comers. All comers, whether those comers are in that weight or they reasonably a weight above or weight on top. So many great fighters have done that from the past, have done that in the 80s, definitely the 90s, and some of them have been done in 2000. And then, maybe not baby boomers, but the new babies, things different. But fights like this establish the foundation of being a great fighter. Not winning the fight. I don't think that anyone would think that winning the fight in November and the fight that's in October, you can automatically say they're great. What I was saying was a great fight. If it was a great fight, it was a great gutty performance. It was a great show of heart and talent, all that, even for the music. But I think when it comes to great, you have to do great things, not just one time. You have to have it.
You're the master of styles. You don't have to bring down like anyone. What do you think is the key for both guys to win this fight? How do you see it playing out?
I can tell you the key for my guy to win the fight, not the other guy. Canelo has the ability, and if you Canelo has the ability outside of his youth, from the learning and from the experience not only winning but losing a big fight to now basically work forward in this fight. He's got experience to get over this tough task.
Hey, Bernard, let me ask you a question. Bernard.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question right here. There you go. Given the possibility if Canelo wins this fight and Lemieux beats Triple G, will Golden Boy consider matching up both Canelo and David Lemieux?
Well, that would be like the big boxing plan. I think at the end, the fights that are going to be made is the ones that want to be made. Like those matches are right there, and they both fighting before the year ends, and you'll be able to see the best come out of those two fights, and you'll be able to see the possibility that those fights will come to fruition. As a fan, I want to see that fight, and as a promoter and as somebody that understands that you need two to negotiate, two that want to fight, and Triple G and Lemieux wants to fight. Cotto never ducked nobody, and let me tell you something, Canelo never ducked nobody either. So when you got people that can work together, I'm talking about promoters, fighters that want to fight, just like we here today, we'll be here again sometime next year talking about the fight that you just mentioned. So this is a start. This is a preview of what Oscar De La Hoya, my partner, and also everybody at Golden Boy and other promoters who feel the same way we feel, make fights happen, and that's why this room is crowded today.
Okay, next question, please.
Yeah. Now I'm not the only one here now. If you want to ask my other question.
Señor Canelo, ¿vive acá en Nueva York?
Turn that thing on.
Somebody
Can you just don't even
Sorry.
turn it off?
Test.
All the
Hey, Ron.
I pulled the plug.
Para mí, según yo analizo, bien cerrada. Ustedes son guerrilleros feroces. Pegan, saben por el lado, boxean, defensa también. ¿Qué usted puede decir a nosotros para convencernos a nosotros que usted va a ser el ganador y después va a avanzar para pelear con el ganador del Triple G y the Middle?
Okay, so I'll translate the question. The question was, analyzing this fight, it looks like it's going to be an even matchup. Both of you have the same quality, speed, power, generalship. What can you say to convince us that you're going to win the fight, and then you're going to advance on to fight possibly the winner of Golovkin and the U.S.?
Bueno, primero que nada voy a darle las gracias a todos ustedes por estar aquí, por el apoyo a esta pelea. Y bueno, yo digo lo mismo, ¿no? Somos dos peleadores con el estilo similar, que son estilos perfectos para dar una gran pelea. Es una pelea 50-50, que el que se prepare mejor y el que está mejor ahí va a ganar arriba del cuadrilátero. Yo creo que la preparación, voy a hacer la mejor preparación para ganar esta pelea, y obviamente una gran estrategia, sin descuidos, para estar listo para cualquier cosa ahí, ¿no? Y obviamente esa mentalidad ganadora, pondré toda mi experiencia y todas mis cualidades ese día para ganar.
So Saul says, first of all, I want to thank everybody here for supporting this fight, for supporting me. I've said it before, this matchup is 50-50. You really can't pick a winner. But the reason is because of the styles. We do have similar styles, but it makes for a very good fight. I know that I'm going to prepare well. I'm going to be ready for this fight. I'm going to use everything that I have in my arsenal so I can win this fight. Mental preparation, everything that I'm going to be doing in training camp to make me victorious for this fight. It's going to be all in the preparation. It's going to be all in the preparation, and whoever prepares the best will win.
Y última pregunta. Usted tiene un gran entrenador que es un y Cotto tiene otro entrenador que es un maestro también. Ustedes van a estudiar las películas de la pelea de ¿qué es lo que ustedes visualizan? ¿Los estilos del peleador o los errores que cometen los boxeadores en su estilo?
Yo creo que nosotros siempre en una preparación vemos las victorias y las derrotas, ¿no? Cómo perdieron, cómo ganaron, analizamos todo, cómo pelea, los golpes, yo creo que en diferentes peleas se ven los errores y también lo bueno que tiene, ¿no? Y de lo que hay que cuidarse, por dónde hay que entrar. Yo creo que todo eso se analiza en un campamento, claro que sí, y obviamente, tú sabes, yo creo que siempre en el primer asalto a veces te puede cambiar todo el plan que traes, ¿no? Pero creo que una buena preparación, llegar bien físicamente para lo que se presente arriba del cuadrilátero, nosotros yendo con nuestra estrategia, y si sale otra, pues estar listo también.
Oh, so the question was, you have a great trainer in Chepo, but also Miguel Cotto has a great trainer in Freddie Roach. What are you guys going to look at when you guys look at video to prepare for this fight? Do you guys just focus on the good things that Miguel does, or are you also going to look at the errors? And Saul's answer to that was, look, obviously you analyze everything. You look at the mistakes, but you also look at the good qualities. We like to take everything into account. We look at the wins, we also look at the losses. Again, it comes down to the preparation. I'm going to have to be physically at my best. But like in any fight, you might have a game plan, but in the first round that will change. So when I'm mentally ready and physically ready, I'll be able to adapt up in the ring. And if something comes out where I have to adapt, I'll be ready for that.
La diferencia de edades, tú casi 10 años más joven, ¿crees que te ayude eso?
Bueno, yo creo que no será factor a favor. Yo he visto a Miguel Cotto las últimas peleas, se ha visto muy bien. Creo que está en un buen momento en su carrera. Yo creo que uno de los mejores en su carrera, así que creo que no será factor, ¿no? Y pues obviamente lo que esté a mi favor, pienso aprovecharlo arriba del cuadrilátero, pero yo no quiero basarme en eso, no quiero basarme en que haré una gran preparación y prepararme para el mejor Miguel Cotto.
¿Te sientes más cómodo?
Hold on, let me translate that. Okay, so the question was, the fact that you're almost 10 years younger than Miguel, is that going to be an advantage to you? And Saul said, look, he doesn't look it. I mean, the way he's looked in his last couple of fights, he's looked great, he's been sharp. Everybody's seen the best Miguel Cotto out there. So I don't really take that into account. I'm going to prepare myself for the best Miguel Cotto. Obviously, I'll take advantage of any of the advantages I might get in this fight, but I'm not going to factor in the age at all.
¿Te sientes más cómodo peleando en Las Vegas que en Nueva York?
No, bueno, yo siempre lo he dicho, donde sea que pelee, creo que es lo mismo para mí pelear en cualquier parte. Al final estaremos él y yo arriba del cuadrilátero. No, para mí me sentiría cómodo en cualquier lado.
Do you feel more comfortable fighting in Las Vegas than New York? And he said, look, it doesn't really matter. When it comes down to it, I feel good anywhere. When we get in that ring, it's only him and I. So, you know, it doesn't really matter to me. I'll fight pretty much anybody, anywhere. So I don't really take that into account.
Sí, sobre eso se vio la posibilidad de pelear aquí. Era uno de los lugares que estaban también jugándose, ¿no? Pero Las Vegas fue la mejor opción para los dos, para Miguel y para mí, no nomás para mí, sino que también para él fue algo conveniente.
Yes, New York was being considered. It was one of the places being considered. But when we look at everything, we felt that all the advantages were to go to Las Vegas for this fight. And I think that both fighters, Miguel Cotto, like myself, are going to take advantage of it.
Question. Dovetail on that broad thing. It also seen as Cotto territory. Did you feel maybe it was a home court advantage for Cotto to fight here at the Garden?
¿Consideraste que quizás pelear aquí?
No consideré eso. Creo que en cualquier parte
Speaks better English than he likes
siempre hay mexicanos, ¿no? Haya uno, haya 10,000, haya 1,000. Para mí el apoyo es lo mismo, así que nunca consideré eso. Creo que en cualquier lugar que hubiera peleado es lo mismo. Al final estaremos él y yo arriba del cuadrilátero.
No, not really. I didn't really think about that. Look, you know, there's Mexicans pretty much anywhere. Whether it's one Mexican or 1,000 or 1,000,000 Mexicans, there's Mexicans pretty much anywhere. And I always get
Donald Trump that.
and I'm thankful that I get the support that I do. So I don't really think about that. And look, at the end of the day, the only ones that are going to be in that ring is him.
Is the Garden a place he eventually wants to? Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
That's why we're fighting here.
Is that a place he'd eventually like to have in the reservation Garden?
Claro que sí, of course, me encantaría. Es uno de los lugares donde ha habido grandes peleas. Me encantaría poder estar.
It's a famous place. Famous fights have taken place. Bernard Hopkins fought there in Trinidad. That's a great place.
Bernard, is that something that bothers you, that today's fighters don't see the prestige and the history of Madison Garden fighting?
Some fighters, yes, but you know, majority of fighters, they do recognize it. You know, Canelo recognizes it. You know, the new recognize it. And, you know, more than 50% recognize it. But then, you know, you're always going to have a few that really don't understand the legacy until it's over. That they don't have a legacy. They have things, but they don't have a legacy. And things go and come, but legacy stays.
Thanks, Bernard. Thanks, gentlemen.
Okay, questions, preguntas?
Canelo, una vez peleaste con el hermano de Cotto, ¿crees que aprendiste algo de esa pelea o vas a usar algo?
Mira, de todas las peleas enfrente, claro que aprendí mucho de esa pelea. Creo que ahora es muy diferente que hace 5 años. Hace 5 años peleé con él, ¿no? Ya pasó mucho tiempo, es muy diferente, pero de cada una de mis peleas sí he ido aprendiendo, es lo que me da la experiencia.
So the question was, you fought Miguel Cotto's brother at one time. Did you learn from that fight? Can you utilize anything in this fight? And Saul's answer was, look, I learned from every fight. Every single fight out there that I fight, I learned from every single fight. And they're very different. These guys are very different. You got to remember, that fight was like 5 years ago. But I learned from every fight, and I'm a different fighter. Okay?
Canelo, una predicción, ¿verdad?
Bueno, ganar, esa es la predicción, ¿no? Prepararme, es lo que único que tengo en mi mente es ganar.
The question was, you have a prediction for this fight, Canelo, and Saul said, just to win. That's it. That's the only thing in my mind is just to win, and I'm looking to win this fight.
¿Cuál es la estrategia que tienes para ganar esta pelea?
Bueno, es lo que vamos a ver apenas y vamos a empezar a preparar, a hacer un campamento para poder hacer una buena estrategia porque tenemos que hacer la perfecta para ganar.
What strategy will you have for this fight? And he said, well, we haven't gotten to that. That's what training camp is for. I'm ready to get into training camp. But I know one thing, we're going to have the perfect strategy so we can win this fight. Okay?
Canelo, del diario de Nueva York. ¿Qué aprendiste de tu derrota con Mayweather y cómo piensas aplicar en esta pelea con Cotto?
Bueno, se aprende mucho, ¿no? Se aprende mucho. Creo que después de esa pelea he madurado más como peleador. Soy un peleador más sólido, con más experiencia. Y eso para un peleador pues es mucho, ¿no? Porque la experiencia, el ser un peleador sólido, es lo que te lleva a grandes peleas. Así que he aprendido mucho, no nomás de esa pelea, sino de todas.
The question was, what did you learn from the Mayweather fight and what can you apply in this fight from that fight? And he said, look, I learned a lot. There's not just one single thing, but I've matured a lot more. I'm a solid fighter, a lot more experience. But again, I go back to the same thing. I learned from every fight. Every fight has got me to this place, and it's going to help me be victorious.
La siguiente, México ha tenido grandes campeones mundiales. ¿Tú estás en camino a considerarte como uno de ellos? ¿Qué significaría si llegaras a perder?
Bueno, es una gran responsabilidad, porque México tiene mucha leyenda, creo que los grandes campeones mundiales, es una gran responsabilidad, pero yo solamente hago mi trabajo y lo único que me preocupa, tengo sed de victoria, tengo hambre de triunfo y perder no me pasa por mi mente.
So the question was, Mexico's had some great champions, legendary champions. You feel that you can one day become one of those champions. Right now you're one of the top guys, and you'll eventually be one of those. And Saul says, yes, I understand that, and it's a big responsibility on me, to try to follow in those footsteps. But I really don't think about that stuff. All I think about is working hard to do my best. And if I'm able to do that, then that's great. I'm thirsty for victory, and I'm hungry for championships and become a champion. So obviously for me, the important thing is just working hard and getting the job done.
Canelo, in Cotto's career, we've seen that he's been getting hit with uppercut a lot. In the judo fight, he got hurt, Packer, he got knocked down. In the Margarito fight was a major factor. Do you look for the uppercut to beat Cotto?
Sí, en todo eso estamos viendo en los software. Creo que es un golpe que ha recibido mucho vigilante y en todo eso vamos a trabajar. Creo que para eso es una preparación para saber por dónde entrar, ver sus peleas y ver por dónde entrar.
Yes, you're right. That's one of the punches that's been effective when you're fighting a Miguel Cotto. But it's not just the uppercut. You're not just going to beat him with an uppercut. You got to use everything, utilize everything, and that's going to come down to preparation and getting ready and analyzing everything.
Question is the first one. No. If Miguel comes out boxing, most people expect him to probably work best with his advantage. Does do that? Do you feel that you're confident in your ability to get him to come back and start firing away with you? Do you think that'll work to your advantage most of all?
No, bueno, no sabemos cómo es que vaya a salir a pelear, ¿no? Es por eso que hay que estar listos para cualquier cosa. Y he peleado con todos los estilos de peleadores, ¿no? Difíciles, bajadores, fuertes, todos los estilos. Así que tengo la experiencia. Si él sale a boxear, pues estaré listo para poder descifrar su estilo y si sale a bajarse, pues también estaré listo para pelear.
We really don't know what style he's going to come to the fight. I mean, we don't know, but that's why I have to be ready for anything. I have to have different game plans and be ready. I fought with pretty much all the different styles out there. I fought with boxers, I fought with guys that come forward and are aggressive and willing to fight. So I feel that I have the experience now to be able to handle any style. And it's gonna come down again to the preparation, and I'm gonna have to be ready to adapt and be ready for anything. So we'll see what style he comes out with, but I'm sure I'll be ready for that.
Okay, last question.
Yeah, my
Last
second
question.
question is for North. North, if anybody has to ask somebody if Father Time has a Cotto, you're obviously the person to talk to about this. Do you truly feel, being the wars that Cotto's been, do you really truly feel that this is a new Cotto, or does he still have enough left in the tank to hold him to the line?
Well, I think any fighter that has a career as Cotto and myself and people, you know, defense and the way you lived and the way you treat your body has a lot to do with wear and tear. But Cotto, you know, to me, having been, I mean, you got the Margarito situation with the hand wrap. I mean, that's really one of the beatings I've seen him take than really all the beatings he had. I see that as not an advantage for Canelo. I think Canelo has to focus on where he's at and the experience that he can put together to take Cotto to a place that he hasn't been in a long time. That is not only youth, but not only experience, but I want to win this fight. And sometimes it comes down to it where both guys have a lot to bring to the table, and it becomes a shootout. And then it comes to one important thing in fights, especially them special fights where who wants to win this fight. You put all that to the side, the experience, the age, this, that, wear and tear. You put all that good ingredients to the side. A lot of times it's about this. You overrides everything else. And you got to bite down in your corner and your trainer look at each other and say, look, you gotta go now and do what we gotta do. That's the special moments that we get to enjoy in boxing. So all those things are good, you can talk about, good conversation, but it comes down to certain fights, not all. This is not to say all fights will be this way, but this fight especially. I see the October fight being that same way, no matter what the odds are. Because you remember,
Okay, thank you
talk
guys.
when you talk about odds, you gotta talk about, you know, opinions. So I think it comes down to who wants to fight better, hungrier, and wants to move to the next step called greatness.
Thank you guys. Everybody stay here. Miguel is